won't stop. Thalmor Radio. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Thalmor Radio.
Thalmor Radio.
Oh no, did I leave? I did. When I was copy and pasting the itinerary, I left out the Holy Spirit. This is a cursed episode, ladies and gentlemen. But anyways, hello, welcome. We're out. Oh, Zig coming in with the save. Coming in to save our souls. Zig proving once again he is the best co-host. We are out here, ladies and gentlemen. It is November 26th, 2021. I hope you all had a pleasant Thanksgiving. I hope you ate that turkey and talked with your family, or at the very least just had a chill day. I had a chill day, and it was a little bit rainy, so it was max cozy time. If only it was a little bit foggy, and it was really good here. What do I want to say before I continue? Okay. So this was something I kind of said in text chat at the beginning of the pre-show. I stopped talking about the Subway girl because I found out they both have boyfriends. And in that time, what happened is Subway Girl 1 has told me she has a boyfriend, but Subway Girl 2 has not told me, and I'm not sure if the guy I thought was her boyfriend was actually her boyfriend. Like, because they're not in each other's Instagram bios, so it is a unclear situation. But when I went in to get my Subway on Tuesday, it was really weird. I went in to get my Subway, and Subway Girl 1 wasn't there, but Subway Girl 2 was. And Subway Girl 2 was way friendlier and way nicer and more expressive. And I think there's a direct correlation between Subway Girl 2 being much more friendly and talkative and Subway Girl 1 being missing. And so that has given me some more information to work with. So I'm going to be reconsidering this. Subway Girl 2 has told me she's a senior. So she could be 18. Maybe. Subway Girl 1, I haven't been able to ask yet. So that's what that is with that. So we'll see what happens as time goes on from there. And I think that's it. Is there anything else I wanted to go over before I get into my topics? I cannot think of anything. That means she's over 65. All right. I have been thinking about this for a while, and something I've noticed. See, again, I have mentioned this before. I'll mention it again. I've been playing this game for a long time. I've been playing Politics and War since January 15th, 2015. I am an old fuck. I am most of yours seniors. Prefontaine is older than me. And Zig is about the same age as me. And I think Soup's older than me. Kill's about the same age. And I think that's it. I think the rest of you are all younger than me. Some of you by a lot. And something I've noticed throughout the game's history is that there appears to be either an unwillingness or a incapability of a winning side in a war to impose harsh peace terms on an enemy that has been defeated. Most wars end in a white peace, particularly earlier in the game's history. You would have wars end in reps, but by and large, like there. I cannot think of a war in which one side lost and then they completely like established really harsh terms on an enemy alliance. And if it has happened, or on the enemy side, and if it has happened, it hasn't happened in a global. But that is the exception, Lysander. What Opus Dei and friends tried to do in that piece of shit war, that's the exception. But even then, they weren't able to do it because the war ended in a white peace because all the decision makers got banned, which was pretty based. So, you know, and even then, that's like one example after how many years of the game's history? So, in order to speculate and theorize on why this is, I decided that I'm going to go on the wiki. I'm going to read about every single war in the game's history. I'm going to aggregate the data of how all those wars ended. And then I'm going to put all that data together and I'm going to figure out, you know, use that data to speculate on why these wars end the way they do. So I started on this earlier this week. You can track some of my progress and announcements, and putting this information together like I want to. I'm collecting all this data on each war, and I'm doing an analysis on the peace terms of each war, because I don't think getting the peace terms is enough. I also need to dig into the politics of each war a little bit. And so the way this is playing out, I am essentially performing a wide, comprehensive analysis on the military history of politics and war. And it's a pretty big project. I wanted to be done with it in a few weeks. I probably won't be done with it until January, if not maybe even February. There's a lot of wars in the game's history, and so that I have the most information to work with, I'm digging into each war. So I'm going on to their wiki page. You may laugh at my pronunciation again. If there's a forum link, I'm following that. I'm putting all this information together. Now, most of these wars, it's like one alliance versus one alliance. It's one alliance versus like 5 alliances. Like most of these wars do end in a white peace, but I'm trying to aggregate all that data together. And so, to gauge interest in this project, I am going to upload the work I have done now, so you guys can look at it here. It was in documents. There it is. Processing. All right, so there it is. Analysis and Trends in Peace Terms version 0.01. So you can go, it's about 2,000 something words right now. I got 2014 and most of 2015 done. So so you guys can check my progress. Antivirus. So I got the introduction, but I'm going to work on the introduction some more. I still need to put a few wars from 2015 in there. And the shitty thing is that 2014 and 2015, they have like the least amount of wars. There's only more and more wars with each year past those years. So, like I said, it's going to take a while. I've asked for volunteers to help with proofreading and stuff. Some of you have reached out to me. Thank you. If when I require your assistance, I will reach out again to you guys who have reached out to me. And so if any of you guys would like to read over that document to give me some feedback, I'd appreciate it. The end result of this will be there's the introduction, there's the template for each war with the name, participants, duration, peace terms, and analysis, and then each year we'll have like an annual analysis. So then there will be like a discussion section in which I aggregate all that data from the years collected together, like how many wars in a white piece, how many wars saw reparations, how many wars had like unique terms that were never really seen in any other wars. And then I will have like a speculation section as to why alliances aren't willing to impose harsh terms on each other or aren't able to, and then probably a conclusion page of some kind. So that's what I got so far. There's still a lot of work to be done. It probably won't be done until early next year, but I do want to finish it. And so that's what I got. So yeah, it's unless anyone can think of any other examples, it's probably the most ambitious research project ever undertaken in the history of the game. Because you can make a bot to tell you how much military is in an alliance. You can make a bot to track market prices. You can't automate this work. You can't automate. The most you could probably do is maybe search out certain terms on the forums and bring up that data. Maybe you could have something scour through the info boxes of like wiki pages and find something. I believe that is right, Lysander. Yeah, I'm sure there are lots of little mistakes here and there. And we'll clean that up when the bulk of the paper is done. But you really can't automate how did every war in the game's history end. That's something you have to go through manually. And if I just did that, it would be a lot easier. But I think in order to have the most information to work with, to bring the most value to the table for something like this, I have to also look at the politics for just a glance. And that adds a lot more work. But that's something I'm willing to do. And as Zig says, you can't automate schizo posts. No, what goes on in my head, that's unique to me. You can't recreate it. So I've enjoyed working on it. Maybe after several more weeks, I will have a version 0.02 to share. Once the bulk of the paper is done, then that's when I will probably bring on the volunteers to proofread it. We'll finish cleaning it up. There's probably some fact checking that needs to be done, particularly in like the 2014, 2015, like those earlier years. I will probably need some older people like Prefontaine or even people who aren't a part of the Thalmor community to reach out to me and like clarify some things, because the only information I have to work with really is what's on the wiki and what I can very easily find on the forums. And that's a lot of information there, but there's still a lot missing. There's still gray zones. There's still stuff where I have to speculate. Not like wild mass guessing, just try to make as logical, from A to B to C guess as possible. But that's where that is. And the wiki. How do you pronounce it? It's not wiki. Wikipedia. Whatever. That's okay. Honestly, it's a totally different game back then. Wiki? I don't know, Zig. How do you pronounce it? Unmute yourself. Wiki. Is that right? Wiki. Okay, I got it. Awesome. Thank you guys. I will continue to call it Wiki for now. Waiki. Leaky. All right. So hopefully I will commit to actually finishing this research project. And once it is done, I will be very excited to share it with you all. I think that's it for that. Point number 2, Royal Orbis radio show next week, probably. This was something Justinian wanted to do. Vice said he'd probably want to do it. Looks like Zig is saying in the chat that he might not be able to make it. So we'll see what happens. I think we'll probably do it. I do want to talk about game activity and stuff. Justinian wants to whine on Ron about how bored he is. That sounds like a good idea. We all could use more whining about the game in our lives. But I will try to be there, and I will. I should be able to be there. I think we talked about doing it on Tuesday, so that's what that is. I will do a ping on the day that it's going to happen, and then I'll do another ping right before it does happen. So any of you wants to show up should be able to. I'm just putting you on notice now. It's probably going to be Tuesday. Ron banned you. I will talk to Krampus about getting you unbanned kills. Okay, speaking of Justinian, he made another thread recently talking about tears. Not like crying tears, but like city tiers, upper tier, middle tier, lower tier, and all the other fun words that we're all used to hearing over and over again. And I made my point, which is something I've said before, which is the upper tier is the most important tier in the game because it's the most economically viable tier, and it's the tier, like, the lower tier can be pounced on by, like, other lower tier people and middle tier people. Middle tier people can be pounced on from all over the place. They're taking it every which way. They're taking it in every hole. The upper tier, they're in the clouds. They only have to worry about other upper tier people and the middle tier. And so that kind of that cushion combined with their economic viability means that securing the upper tier is the most important thing. Because the upper tier, like, the ideal situation is that the upper tier keep making cash and resources and thus can keep their war effort going while the middle tier and lower tiers duke it out. And of course, the upper tier, they can swipe down in the middle tier and stuff. I think the most viable. Now, Justinian seems to disagree, and his main example was talk about MPO's last time and how, like, you had this machine of hundreds of military members and how they just piece by piece by piece would chip away at upper tier and bring them down. And I mean, yeah, that did happen. Opus Dei were very competent. They had good economics, especially later on in the war when they got the Guinea Whaling Corporation and had virtually unlimited resources. They were able to just amass their numbers and bring the upper tier down. That's an extreme example, and there are no others like it. If you can show me where I'm wrong, if there's another example in any war in which middle tier people brought down the upper tier to secure victory, let me know. But that is the only example of it ever happening, and there were so many other circumstances at play that I think it's an outlier. In every war in the game's history, especially globals, if those biggest members can dominate shoot them down to the middle tier. Middle tier can shoot them down further. That's going to be the winning side. And it's usually the aggressors. Usually. Not always, but usually. And so, I'm still like, I don't like Cthulhu. I like Cthulhu. But Cthulhu said that, like, oh, well, the upper tier, they're always going to call on their lower tier allies. It's like, yeah, it's the upper tier calling the shots. Duh. Like, of course they're most relevant here. A wealthy person is going to call on a cleaning service to come clean his house every other week. Like, that doesn't mean the cleaning service is hot shit, So, I don't know. I still think upper tier is the best. That's not to say middle tier is useless. That's not the case at all. That's not to say lower tier is useless. That's not the case at all. Every tier has a role to play. Every member of every alliance has something they could be doing when a war breaks out. But wars in this game have always been, or at least for much of the game's recent history, they've always been won by who has the biggest members, and can those biggest members, can they secure their positioning? So, and that's not to get into things like politics, like what is a victory in a war? I argued that Camelot won their war against Nexus recently because of the politics that were at play. And of course, if you really want to get crazy with theory, that kind of changes the equation, but that is a whole other thing. What is victory? That's a whole other topic, and I don't want to get into it. My brain's fried. I can't think. I've done a lot of writing lately between this essay paper and trying to work on that book I've been trying to get wrote since like middle of this year. My brain's fried. But what? You're one of those lunatics? Oh, my goodness. You're really going to make me rehash this again in my slightly disabled state? Okay. Let me explain my reasoning. When the peace terms were drawn between Nexus and Camelot, there were a number of terms thrown in there that I thought were beneficial towards Camelot. That, combined with how Camelot intentionally dragged out the war to do as much damage as possible, I interpreted those two things, meaning Camelot War, they fought well, and Nexus gave up political ground when they didn't have to. And so militarily, Camelot lost. They got their fucking ass beat. Nexus could sell them 6 weeks of Sunday. But the politics, the peace treaty, there were things in there that were nods to Camelot that didn't have to be in there. And I interpret that as good for Camelot. And that, in a way, they won the war. They still lost. Yeah, I mean, I guess. But with politics, what one alliance wants, it will be different from the other. And I think to Epi and the leadership of Camelot, they considered what were their victory conditions and their loss conditions. And I think to them, they were able to achieve their victory conditions. And so to them, it was a victory. And yeah, objectively, they lost militarily. But I think to them, they won politically. And who am I to say that their victory conditions are wrong? Like, okay, KT. We had our crusades. We would hit random alliances for fun, right? We lost those wars, I guess. We would always, someone would hit us and we would get thrashed and we'd go back to raiding, right? Like, those weren't losses on us. I don't consider that we lost against Oasis earlier this year. Like that was fun. And like we had a lot of fun fighting Oasis. Meanwhile, I was able to build a collage of Oasis members bitching and whining about the war, even when it first happened. So, you know, like, and I memed it. The Oasis is dry. The Oasis is dry. I memed it. And so, this is really schizo tonight. But yeah. Victory in war is a political question. And I mean, to most alliances, most of the time, yes, being sat on, taking on economic damage, not really being able to fight, that's a loss, yes. But that's not always the case all the time to every alliance. And so when you throw that angle into the question of which tier is most important, I think it gets even more complicated. And unfortunately, like I said, for some reason my brain is fried tonight. I think it's because I've been doing too much writing this week, and I'm at like 60% capacity here. And no, Zig, it's not the Pulaski conflict book. It's a crime drama that I was inspired to write through a combination of playing all the Yakuza games and watching The Sopranos. And I was going to write a short story, which was a prologue, and I wrote about 8,000 words for that. I then tried writing the book itself and got about 8,000 words of that. But then I lost interest and I got burnt out. But just yesterday, I got interested in doing it again. And between the work I have done yesterday and today, I've redone the entire opening. I'm changing the scope of the book, and I got like over 3,000 words now. And I don't know. Hopefully, I can finish it next year. But I don't know. We'll see. It's fun though. It's really fun. Like I get a level of joy from writing that story that I don't really get from writing a lot of other things. Did Oasis win or lose? Um, with regards to the war against Oasis that KT had, to me it was more of a question of fun, and I think we had more fun than some of their members did. So that's my interpretation, and I would say we won. Tyrion is free to disagree if he even cares enough to, which he probably doesn't, which is probably the smart thing, because I'm just talking nonsense anyways. Always Katie, one of the best words I've had in recent times. I tell you what, is it space program? Which project allows you to build 2 missiles? Is it space program? That was fun, being able to build 2 missiles. Phew! No, Aglinskine. Lord Tyrion on record said that it was 1,000, and there was like 30 of us. I made a meme about it. Tyrion said it was that he considered it to be like 1,000 people as part of Oasis in total, which was really funny, and we dunked on him over it. But whatever. That was like 7 years ago. 7 years ago. Listen to me, ladies and gentlemen. My mind is going. That was like 7 months ago. It's ancient history as far as I'm concerned. Was that all I had to say about that? Yeah, it was a Tyrion question. Okay, let's talk about this new mod. Now, let me pull it up. This was the story that got broke in Royal Orbis News. I have to find the source for it again. Was it in Tidbits? I don't think it's in Tidbits. Where's the story about the new mods? Is it in Politics and War News? Yep, it's in politics and war news. So, what's this Indian guy's name? Endger? Enger, I think he's TKR, and he has a line as a profile picture. He reported, as mentioned by Alex in one of his previous announcements, Alex has brought 2 new moderators who are apparently doing in-game moderation too. The new moderators are Blaster Mars and Sammy. As per our sources, Blaster Mars is the paid mod and is expected to be moderating on all platforms, and Sammy is only a 4 mod, and then it lists to their accounts and stuff. Nation link of Sammy is unknown as of now. Interesting. But Blaster Mars, which is a nice name, I like that name. He is a Rosian. He is a client of the dominatrix known as Vex. And I don't I don't like that the mod is in Rose. And it's not like I shit on Rose. That's because they're a big dog. That's why I shit on Rose. I actually don't really like. I think maybe on average they're a little incompetent when it comes to fighting. They're pretty good at politics and they're pretty good economically, but they seem a little shitty at fighting. But I can't actually say that Rose is like a shitty alliance or that I dislike them. Neither of those are true. But what I'm concerned about is I really do not want a game mod to be involved in a alliance's community because I am concerned that will create like there's this phenomenon, and I've explained it before on this show, and I will do it again. There was this attorney. I forgot when he said this. I forgot who said it and where I heard it from. Maybe it's from one of Nick Rekieta's Kyle Rittenhouse live streams. But this attorney said that when he gets a new client, he looks over the facts of the case and he rolls his eyes about the case, right? But then after however long it's been, once that case goes to trial, this attorney spends so much time learning the facts of the case and how it applies to the law that when it comes time to trial, that attorney is able to go into that courtroom and passionately and zealously advocate for his client. And so over the course of this case, he goes from rolling his eyes at it to vigorously defending it, right? And this is a subconscious thing. And I've seen it happen with alliances in this game. I've done it, although I've consciously done it. Whenever KT would bounce between blocks, I would consciously decide, and I've talked about it on this show, I will be a shill for this side now because it's my side. And I've seen people do it in this game. I think I've seen Kev do it because I think I remember Kev advocating one position and then he went to a different alliance, and I think I saw him advocating another position. I cannot remember what it was. I'm not saying he's a bad guy for doing it. It's politics. It happens. But when you're exposed to a line of reasoning in a community that is welcoming to you, you will take that reasoning with you wherever you go. And my ultimate concern is that it will lead to this guy, this Blaster Mars fella, developing some kind of bias. Like, I don't want him to like look at TKR. Like, who's a rival to Rose? Is it TKR? I don't want Blaster Mars to look at TKR and like any bad of a way, or to be more harsh, or to be more anal about enforcing certain rules. I don't want Blaster Mars to waste Weisel. Okay, I want Weisel to remain well. That's my standpoint with that. So I hope that Blaster Mars will like leave Rose. Maybe he can. What I'm guessing he's doing is he's joined Rose as part of a way to familiarize himself with the game. I do imagine he probably will leave Rose and like go elsewhere or whatever. Like Blaster Mars is probably just one trying to learn the game. That's fine. But I do hope that he doesn't become a staunch Rosian, because Lord knows we have enough of those already anyways. I remember when this story broke earlier this week, I don't know what it was, but like all the Rose members were in Royal Orbis News, like getting into slap fights. And that tends to have, like, I don't know, when the Rose Hive gets bothered, they really come out to buzz around. It's very interesting to see. So I don't know if people were criticizing Rose because of the mod or whatever, but they were really active the day that that story broke. Wiki moderation is controlled by Rose. Yeah, I mean, look, we can talk about like international bankers and the CIA and the reptilian vampires. But at the end of the day, we all know that the world is controlled by the Rosians, and we all need to rise up and break their stems and scatter their petals. Okay, that's all I got to say about that. Final call: politics and war. Any last things I need to go over before I discuss nonsense real life stuff that I halfway don't even want to go over? Rose is becoming a homogenous, but they can't fucking fight. We've seen that they had to team up with the Syndicate just to thrash Hollywood. A weekend Hollywood, I think, did Children of the Light and Air 404 leave Hollywood after Gun? When did they leave? Aaron's saying yeah, so I'm assuming yeah. It's like, and there was no reason why they lost Guns N' Roses, but they did. Complete nonsense. Complete nonsense. But I don't know. We'll see. And I don't even know. Like, I think it was true at one point. You can make the argument that Oasis and Mystery were Rose, like heavily Rose influenced. I don't know if that's true anymore, because I mean, I think, like, I do think it was true that Children of the Light, possibly through Kigaz, was like a Rosian puppet, but I don't know how true that was. I don't think it's true today. I think Cataclysm and Clock Block. Is that the name of our? Is that the name of our block? I think so. Guys, what's the name of my block? Is it cock? Is it clock? I actually don't know. This is really embarrassing. Please don't tell on me. It's cock. Okay. It's okay. Everyone's saying it's cock. Guys, Turkey Day was yesterday. The time to think about cock was yesterday. Now you need to think about what's a traditional Christmas meat. Think about Rudolph. Think about deer meat. Think about deer meat and how good. I haven't had deer jerky since I was like 7. It's been a long time. I need some deer jerky. I need to like go outside. I need to pull a rock from the creek. I need to get a stick. I need to turn the stick into a spear. Then I need to go outside. I need to hunt a deer and kill it and eat it. Eat its heart, especially. That's where all the good nutrients are. I need to touch grass. All right. I think that's it. Nothing else has happened in this stupid fucking game because everyone wants to do nothing because of the nap. Oh, it's the nap. Oh, we gotta obey the nap. So nothing's happening. Nothing's going to happen all this year because of the holidays. Everyone's going to be busy eating cock and deer jerky. So I think the only next thing to do is go into vacation mode for a month and come back in January, and then probably delete anyways, because I said so, and I'm right. I think that's it. I'll do one more. Last call. Politics and war. Any last topic I need to go over, or are we done with game quote unquote news for this week? No one is typing anything. Nothing happened. Y'all better be fucking proud of me because nothing happened this week and I still squeezed out a 40-minute show over nothing. You're welcome. You're welcome that I carry the weight of this community on my back week after week and that I'm able to bullshit for at least 30 minutes when nothing happens. All right, but that's it. I want to talk about dumb real life politics now. So if you're only here for the game stuff, you should leave now before I make you want to delete Discord. Thank you for coming, and good night. I will give. Okay, everyone is still here. So only one person left. So the rest. Oh, two people left. Sick left. Oh, there was another one. All right. Oh, five. Oh, someone keeps rejoining. Oh my goodness. People keep going in and out. Okay. Okay, stop it. Whoever's doing that, it's annoying. All right. So, let's talk about the Omicron variant. So it got announced today that in South Africa, the Omicron variant is the thing. It's COVID 5.0, and it will kill you really hard. All the booster shots in your eyeballs and your nipples will not save you because, yeah. Fun fact: South Africa has a form of actually, it's not just South Africa. I think other countries have it too, but it's called tire. It's called is it the tire necklace? Basically, it's a form of execution in which they sit you down and they put a tire over your head and your torso like a nice rubber sweater, and they lit it on fire, and like the rubber melts and gets on your flesh, and it's really hot and it hurts a lot. But because it's a ring of fire, like it doesn't really kill you quickly. Yeah, neck lacing. So I think they do it to pedophiles, but I'm sure they do it to like normal people too, because we all know that African countries have universally the best justice systems, and there's no mob action at all, and yeah, so that's cool. But anyways, they've necklaced too many bats, and now we have the Omicron variant. And the corporate press are hyping it up as the next big thing. There was some dude, some Twitter blue check mark yelling about how New York needs mandatory booster shots, and it needs mandatory masking again. Apparently, the stock market, Les Sander is right. I think the stock market did go down some more because a South African man coughed. So I don't know. We'll see. I don't think there's a whole lot of I don't know. I don't think there's that much willpower left in people to like deal with COVID much anymore. Because it's like, and I don't know how some of you feel. I've always pretty much not cared that much about COVID, especially when I found out that like it appears to have a really big like survival rate. But you got people like me who are dumbasses and we just don't really care about it. You got people opposite of me who are like, they're double vaccinated and they want the booster and they wear 2 masks everywhere. But then you got people in the middle who social distanced, who wore a mask and still probably wears a mask, and they're vaccinated. And those people in the middle that I just described, I don't know how willing they are to like keep this up. And if any of you I'm describing, you can go ahead and like tell me how you feel. Okay, like Avatar, for example. Thank you, Avatar. Avatar, what do you think about Omicron variant, and how many boosters are you willing to get? I want your we don't politically align too much, so I want your input. Because you're a normal person, and I want to know what a normal person is feeling right now about the state of the COVID crisis. It's may necessary. Okay, so like, have you received a booster already? Is my first question. Not yet. Okay, so like on the 2nd. Okay, you're getting your first booster December 2nd. Are you willing to get one like every 8 months for like years? Is that like a viable thing you're willing to do? Because my gut feeling is that most people are kind of over the COVID thing. Like I feel like your normie everyday John Smith is looking at the corporate press and saying, you know what? Like, I got vaccinated and I wear a mask half the time when I'm out. And like now they're saying that I need to get a booster. And now the school board sent me a letter and said that like my kid has to be vaccinated. And it's like, I don't really know. And now there's this new variant, but like my friend Jonathan got the vaccine and like he almost died. So I don't know if the average person has enough of a damn to give about this much anymore. So they want to type up the Omicron variant, and I gotta say, our like our elites are really fucking stupid. Like, they're not. I don't want to say they're stupid because they managed to get in power and so far have stayed in power, which is more than I've done. But like, okay, let's look at the logistics crisis, right? The supply chain crisis. So, like, it's getting harder to deliver food everywhere. And like the inspectors at meat plants, there's a shortage of them, and a vaccine mandate would drive even more of them away. And if they can't get food inspectors, then the food plants have to shut down. That's a mass starvation. Maybe not a mass starvation, but it's going to be a lot more empty shelves if that happens. Same thing with truckers. They want to mandate that truckers get vaccinated. If there's already a trucker shortage, so if there's even fewer truckers, then like Walmart can't get supplied, which is not good. And inflation is driving up prices, And like, there's all these economic pressures from all these different sides. I don't know how it gets better. I don't know how it gets better, especially because all of the levers that the Fed has to control the money supply, like they're already using all those levers and they have for a long time. So, like, I mean, if Donald Trump runs again in 2024 and wins and resumes his pro-business, like, would that help? Maybe, but like, there's a lot of problems, and I don't know if the Orange Man is a solution to any of them. So I don't know how it gets better, but I definitely see how it gets worse. And I dropped out of college. I dropped out of college with about half the credits I needed to get a degree. And there's one thing I learned from my political science classes. It was that you don't see an armed insurrection until people have run out of things, like they have nothing to lose. Like, if you have upward moment, if you have a reasonable chance at upward momentum, you're not going to do anything because you can risk something. If you're wealthy, you're not going to risk your life. But if you're poor and you can't see a way out of that, then you're going to pick up a gun and use it for crime, or point it at the government or something like that, right? And so I see a mechanism to which the American people, number one, lose a lot of their wealth through inflation and all the economic stresses we're facing thanks to COVID and regulation and other such things. But I also see how there can be like a food shortage. And like, if you have enough people, and like, trust in mainstream institutions are the worst they've ever, like, no one trusts the corporate press, no one trusts the government, nobody likes police officers. There's a shortage of police officers. People are leaving the military in droves. Like, don't the elites know that if everyone is poor and like BlackRock and all these other corporate institutions are buying up all these homes, like, if you can't get a house and you have no money, like, but like, hold on, I'm not even done. I'm sorry, I left out the final part. The elites are allowing all this to happen, but yet gun ownership is the highest it's ever been. Every motherfucker has a gun or can get one, right? They're not even that expensive. Maybe a solid, reliable one will set you back $500 or something. But like every motherfucker has a gun. Every motherfucker is strapped, and yet they're still allowed. Like, if you're homeless and hungry and you have no money and you can't get any money, but you have a fucking gun, like, what the fuck do these elites think's going to happen? Like, I don't know. I don't know if they're all acting in a decentralized manner, and so they're not really in control like how we conceptualize it. I don't know if maybe they are just dumb enough. So I don't know. Thought we're making an argument for gun control. I don't mean it that well, and that's the funny thing. First off, I'm surprised by how quiet the corporate press has been about gun control. It seems like they've given up discussing. Like, the only things they ever talk about is race and COVID. They don't really talk about much of anything else, and they run interference for the Biden administration. But gun control, like, the progressives are losing gun control really hard, because like on a state by state basis, like the laws concerning self-defense are getting expanded more and more. Gun control on a state level is getting relaxed more and more. Like, so many states are open carry now, or you don't need a license to conceal carry. It's like, I don't know. I think yeah. So I don't know. Um, a lot of things are fucked, but I don't think they'll stay fucked because between the proliferation of firearms and distrust in mainstream institutions, and like, okay, I remember what my next point was. I forgot what my next point was going to be. That's why I'm going off on a tangent. But you know, and I lost it again. Oh yeah, another example of how elites are dumb. We saw with this Virginian election, with how the Republican won. Like, I think the main reason why the Republican won was because um, was because of the whole critical race theory thing, right? CRT. And I think the Democratic candidate saying that like parents have no right to like influence their kids' education, I think that pissed off the white women got pissed off, and so I think that's why the Republican guy won. And the next day, the Democratic response was to just double down on the CRT thing. And now we're seeing this with COVID, I think people are done with COVID. I think either you're vaccinated or you're not. And, if you're vaccinated, I mean, maybe you're open to boosters forever. Maybe you just want to be done with it. If you're unvaccinated, you're not going to get vaccinated because you've held out for this long with every pressure against you. And so, now we see the Omicron. Like, I don't know. It seems like the regime is only good at doubling down, and I think this process of double down, double down, double down, double down. Never admit that you were wrong. Never take a step back. Just forward and forward and forward. Like, it's gonna. You can only press the gas so hard in a straight line before you hit a wall somewhere, right? So I don't know. I think the elites are doing a great job of sowing the seeds for their own downfall, and I don't know. We'll see what happens. I used to be very black pilled. I talked to Kiwi about this a lot. I used to be very black pilled. I'm not black pilled anymore. I'm actually optimistic. It's just that in the short term, it's probably gonna be a wild ride. And I do anticipate an economic collapse. I do think the dollar will go belly up, probably sooner rather than later. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. Because the U.S. Army fleet of drones are capable of taking on the civilian population. Well, I mean, first off, those drones, like a a drone can only carry so many Predator missiles, and like a drone needs so much maintenance for how much it flies, and those parts will come from like China, and they need people to man the drone. Which, I don't know, it's not too hard to man a drone and press a button, but like one missile can only kill maybe 20 people, and I don't know. We'll see what happens. But that assumes the U.S. military will fire on citizens. The U.S. military will be glad to fire on civilians. Maybe, yeah, what Aaron said, maybe some of them will leave, but I don't think so because the military are drilled to obey their orders, that they will protect the country from all enemies, foreign and domestic. And the way, like, if for the military to fire on civilians, it's going to be the narrative is going to be, look at these terrorists who are a threat to democracy. Look at these terrorists who want to overthrow the government, and like they're all neo-Nazi, white supremacists, and we need to go stop them because like we're heroes. Like, there's going to be a narrative spun to the military, and yeah, some of them probably will leave. I think probably. From what I read on Twitter and stuff, the military is going woke, and people are leaving. But okay, here's the thing. Have you guys heard about the update to the draft so that women can be drafted? Have you guys heard about that being passed? Are we going to talk about the guy who attacked everyone literally everywhere? I didn't even know that happened. Random. But it's currently in Congress still. They are trying to allow women to be draftable, so that when World War III breaks out, not just young men can be drafted into the military, young women can be too. And I think the reason for the and it's being done on the name of equality, right? Like how great is it for women's rights that women can now be drafted, which is just complete insanity, but I digress. I think they're doing that because I do think they're concerned about enlistment numbers because I mean, people are still enlisting in the military. Hell, even a couple of years ago, I was looking at it myself. But I think people have seen these nebulous wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, and I don't think people, I think there's a strong anti-war sentiment right now. I don't think I see the corporate press fucks. I see them putting out feelers. Like I saw an article last week about how Russia is amassing troops at the border and that they're probably going to invade Ukraine. And today I saw an article about how the United States should be ready. I think it was from the Washington Post about how the United States must be ready to go to war against China over Taiwan. And the response I see to all of these articles is this overwhelming no, fuck you. I don't think I don't think there's a stomach in the United States for another war, especially a big one. So we'll see what happens. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think the military are bleeding members. I think the military is going woke, which is all going to make the fighting capacity worse. You know, I do think the most principled police officers are resigning, leaving only psychopaths. Um, and when you have, you know, tens of millions of impoverished gun owners who are mad at every power structure in the country, and there's, barely any police to stop them, and the military is full of woke people who don't actually want to fight. They just want to first of all, a lot of roles in the military aren't even combat roles. There's support roles and stuff. Only so much the military are actually fighting soldiers who would be on the front lines going house to house. But I don't know. I think the elite are playing a dangerous game. I think the corporate journalists are playing a dangerous game being such Satanists. I think politicians are playing a dangerous game by abdicating their authority and their obligation to the people of the country. And I don't know, we'll see what happens, but I don't see the current order lasting indefinitely. I mean, no system does anyways, but I think in my lifetime, the United States will undergo a major shift of some kind. And I think it will be for the better in the end. But we'll be looking. Based, Aaron. I don't know if there will be another big war, Grave. Because, I mean, if you look at recent history, wars are almost just not happening. I mean, yeah, we'll have a civil war, you'll have terrorism, but state on state violence, that is going away. Last year, or was it earlier this year, you had Armenia and Azerbaijan go at it, but you only saw so many thousands of deaths, and it was only for so long before they signed a peace treaty. Um, Did they? But I didn't know. I don't think it was at the same level that it was earlier. I mean, like Azerbaijan and Armenia are always kind of skirmishing with each other here in their border conflicts. But I mean, they went at it really hard in what I'm thinking about. But I digress. Taiwan is poking a lot with China is poking a lot with Taiwan. Look, I've stated before um, my view of the Chinese. Okay, I don't like them. I don't like them. I can respect how at least China is honest about how you can kind of do what you want as long as you don't criticize the government. Whereas in the United States, there's this lie about how like we're all free and stuff. But if you say, "Well, I don't know if all this COVID stuff is necessary," you get banned off of social media, and the media will write articles about how you're a white supremacist and stuff. But I digress. But I don't like the Chinese, and I don't know. I think Taiwan can protect itself because invasions are expensive, war is expensive, and if Taiwan was faced with a battle for independence, I see no reason why they wouldn't fight very fiercely. I do believe they have conscription. And I mean, island invasions are rough. The Pacific Theater of World War II showed this pretty clearly. The British were able to pull it off against Argentina in the Falklands, which is really interesting to look into. But thankfully, the Argentinians were really shitty at their job, and they're able to pull it off. And it's not like the Falklands was a fortress either. I mean, it's an Arctic island. Ow, fuck! I just smashed my finger against my desk. Ow. But there we go. I think that's it. If China attacks Taiwan, Australia supports South Korea. I mean, probably, but we'll see. But I'm happy that there's such a strong anti-war sentiment. That's a white pill. A white pill is the anti-war sentiment in the United States right now. I think that's it. I don't have anything else to talk about. Omicron variant, anti-war stuff. If I don't call politics and war, any last topics need to go over, or are we done for tonight? Because I think we are done for tonight. Did anything happen with Joe Biden? Yes! Joe Biden announced a travel ban on South Africa, which is really funny because when Trump did his travel ban on China last year, he was called racist. But now that Joe Biden does it against South Africa, you will see no one in the corporate press criticize him for it. So that is really funny. But I think that's about it. All right. Kills Bob, play the theme. Soup in the recording when the theme is done. Let us go and have a good weekend.
Thalmor Radio. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Thalmor Radio. Yeah, he's coming at you from the top. Oh no, no, he won't stop. Thalmor Radio. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Thalmor Radio.
Thalmor Radio.
Good night.